I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
Oh my God, and I'm Brianna Jones. Hello.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, a podcast where I try to get Andrew and Brie to like musical theater.
Jump scared. Keep that in. That's staying in. That's fine.
Yeah, Brie, do not re-record that.
You should just see me staring off into space.
Put a cricket noise.
Damn headphones.
Brie's dog ate
my headphones.
$900 headphones.
And they won't replace them.
I mean, we told you a workaround, but we'll get to that. But do you know why the dog ate her headphones?
No.
Because there wasn't a nanny watching them.
Yeah, because there wasn't a nanny watching
Exactly.
them. I'm starting my own nanny service where I wear a fat suit and pretend to be an old Scottish woman. It's a great idea, right? Totally not going to offend like 500 different people by doing this, right?
No. Why? Who would be offended by you doing that? I mean, that would be...
I don't know. I just feel like I'm not close enough with my kids, so I'm just going to gaslight my ex-wife into thinking I'm this big old Scottish nanny.
Yeah, this seems like a really good idea.
It's all for my kids, Andrew. How dare you shame me? I want to be a good father, so I need to dress as an old Scottish woman.
Have you tried just like not doing that? Like,
the judge took away my kids. What do you want me to do?
The meninist has arrived.
On that note, this week we are talking about Mrs. Doubtfire the Musical. Cue the music, Brie.
Hello, dearies.
So Mrs. Doubtfire the Musical is a musical with a book by Carrie Kirkpatrick and John Farrell, and music and lyrics by Wayne Kirkpatrick and Carrie Kirkpatrick. You might recognize those names from Something Rotten, the musical. It premiered on Broadway in previews on March 9th, 2020 at the Stephen Sondheim Theater, with a scheduled opening night of April 5th. Are we all following where this is going next? Due to the Governor Andrew Cuomo's response to the coronavirus pandemic, all Broadway productions were suspended on March 12, 2020, and were ultimately set to resume the week of September 14, 2021. Mrs. Doubtfire resumed previews on October 21st, 2021. The official opening night was on December 5th, 2021. However, the production began a 9-week hiatus from January 10th to March 14th, 2022. However, that hiatus was extended another month to April 14th, 2022. Mrs. Doubtfire.
We're like real critics on this one. We're reviewing this before you can even watch the dang thing.
A little bit. But it had its opening night, and then they closed because they got... We'll get into it. I want to talk about that. That's a big thing I want to talk about. Part of the reason why I'm talking about it today. So, Mrs. Doubtfire is about Daniel Hillard, a struggling out-of-work actor who will do anything for his kids. After losing custody in a messy divorce, he creates the kindly alter ego of a Scottish nanny, Eugenia Doubtfire, in a desperate attempt to stay in their lives. As his new character takes on a life of its own, Mrs. Doubtfire teaches Daniel more than he bargained for about how to be a father. A hilarious and heartfelt story about holding on to your loved ones against all odds. Sure. Mrs. Doubtfire is the musical comedy we need right now. One that proves we're better together. All right, Andrew, what do you think of Mrs. Doubtfire?
Oh boy, there's definitely some stuff to say.
All right, what's your history with the film version then?
I honestly have only seen the movie maybe like twice, and I didn't really like it either time, and I honestly can barely remember anything about it. So there's going to be times in this where I'm probably going to ask if it was in the movie, and hopefully Jess knows.
I do. I have seen the movie a couple of times. I wouldn't say it's a favorite of mine. It never really was. Mara Wilson's really cute in it. I like that it's an honest-ish divorce story where things don't end well. I think Sally Field's performance in it is very, very good.
Yeah.
Aside from that,
Yeah, it's just kind of not the funniest premise, honestly.
There is the red flag of transphobia in the room.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like, dang, this was really funny, wasn't it? Back in 1990, whatever.
2 years before we were born, right?
Yes. So, I mean, you know.
Yeah. I mean, this goes along with a trend that we talk about so much on the show about famous movies becoming stage musicals. Sometimes it works in a way that we think is effective. Like we were both fairly positive about Beetlejuice and Shrek the Musical. Then you have other ones like American Psycho or, there's got to be another terrible one, right?
Tootsie?
Tootsie, yeah. Those two are bad. Like
Tootsie is bad in a similar vein to this as well, so I think
I'd
that's
almost
sort of
say
relevant.
that this musical would not exist without the success of Tootsie.
Yeah. I think what's recurring about what the ones we like is a lot of times they will expand on the movie and make it more than it was in a certain way to make it fit the musical format.
Yeah.
Especially Beetlejuice. I feel like Beetlejuice honestly has kind of surpassed the movie for me. The musical version. It's just they added so much more to it. This really just feels like the movie with songs in it, though.
It is. And we've recently talked about another musical where it was just the movie with songs in it.
Yeah, I forget which one it was.
What? I don't even know what show we do anymore.
Well, the thing about these mediocre shows is they're very forgettable.
They do tend to blur together. Like this one, I would say is like I don't want to talk bad about a show that's currently like on the stage and like really trying its best, but my God,
you can tell that there's a lot of effort put into certain aspects of this.
Yeah,
and I feel like you can also tell that there isn't very much effort put into other aspects of this.
Why don't you break down let's talk positives. What works in this musical?
Okay, number one positive, the biggest positive, the most impressive thing you'll see, the costume changes always being visible and
yes, they never try to hide it.
And frequent, and the costume being relatively elaborate is kind of impressive. I do think that was fun for them to do. And you can definitely tell that was supposed to be something that was impressive and supposed to kind of wow the audience a little bit. And I feel like it does work.
I don't think it's very funny. The thing is, they expect you to have a laugh riot out of it. And
I don't think it's funny. I think it's impressive, but I don't think it's funny.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's just laughing at a man in a dress, which isn't funny. Continue.
No. I'm just saying that I think the costume work that they did is actually impressive, but if anything, that's not a credit for like the writing team or anything. That's a credit for the costume department and staging and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think that the sets look expensive.
That is the most backhanded statement I've ever heard.
I mean, they look good. It looks like that's where a lot of the money was going. I'm just being honest here. Other positives, I mean, the lead is definitely trying very hard.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is a D- show with a lead giving A+ effort.
Yeah, I think he helps sell some of the costume change stuff. I mean, he's obviously doing a lot of the work there. And yeah, I mean, he does a very good job. I don't even think really nobody else is doing like a bad job. Most of the actors are doing very well. Oh, good Lord, it's all in service of nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of it. The movie works because of Robin Williams' performance in a way. And for better or for worse, he's a very empathetic actor in a way that you kind of follow him down a lot of dark tales. And Rob McClure, very, very good, funny actor. Doesn't quite, he can't step in those shoes. As much as I give him all the credit in the world, those are just too big of shoes to step into.
I don't even know if it's that, though, because I feel like he does a great job. I just think this story was never really that good, and I feel like the jokes that they're giving him, because I don't think he's ad-libbing up on stage there.
No, of course not.
So I think the jokes that they're giving him just aren't particularly funny.
But you weren't a big fan of Robin Williams improv to begin with. You're not a Robin Williams fan. He's your Bill Murray, where I hate Bill Murray, you hate Robin Williams.
Yeah, I wouldn't say hate. I mean, I think some of his more serious stuff is actually really good. It's more that his comedy, I never really just enjoyed his just like, I'm going to do this accent and then I'm going to do this reference and like that kind of stuff.
Right.
I know that, and that's not all of his comedy stuff, but that is definitely Mrs. Doubtfire, and that's like the genie, and like that's, you know.
That's what he was mostly known for in like our generation.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of the reason I never really enjoyed Mrs. Doubtfire all that much. Yeah.
If I'm gonna say anything positive about it narratively, I like the fact that the kids are shown as the victim throughout, due to the parents' immaturity and the inability to congregate together, because they really are the only victims here. The mom isn't a victim, the dad isn't a victim, the kids are, and they do very good job of showing that.
Yeah, I would say you could maybe argue the dad is like sort of a victim at the very beginning.
You see, let's talk about that. Bree, you are a female who
Yes.
might has the ability to have children in the future. I don't think you will, but on the off chance you do.
Okay.
Let's say you have a child and you're a stay-at-home mother and your wife and or husband decides they're going to be the breadwinner and you're going to take care of the house.
Okay.
Then you get divorced. Because you were never allowed to have a job because that was the agreement you have, you are now unable to support your children on your own, so you only are allowed to see them on the weekends. Should that be allowed? I find that a really kind of messed up rule.
I don't know. I've been through a lot of divorces
Right.
growing up, so there's typically alimony paid for someone who was the stay-at-home parent from the breadwinner. So a little unrealistic unless they signed like a prenup that said like what yours like that there will be no alimony given.
In this musical, at least this is how they frame it.
Okay.
The father was the stay-at-home dad. The mom was the big breadwinner.
Yeah.
They get divorced and they're like, oh yeah, you're going with the mother. And he's like, come on, they're my kids. I was there every day. And then they're like, we'll see about that. But until then, you only get them weekends.
Weird.
It wasn't it more than that? It wasn't even just weekends. He got him for like an hour, like one day a week.
Yeah, an hour for the weekends.
I mean, that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Kids.
the messed up thing. And so he has to kind of pretend he's a nanny, which I don't know.
Now, I think his solution to the problem is
It's bad.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I just think that you could maybe argue that he got kind of screwed a little bit.
But that's the kind of thing that, because in most court trials, people say, yeah, the kids go with the mother.
Yeah.
Watch A Marriage Story. We all know how that goes. But here, he was a stay-at-home dad. You can't really blame him for not having a job because of that. Context matters is what I'm saying.
I mean, if you're a stay-at-home parent, that is your job.
Right. And it's not any more or less of a job than someone that's going out and doing stuff.
I would be more concerned with this if they actually cared about this aspect of the
It's
story.
just a thing that you have to overcome to get him into a dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they never really like. It's not like he's like becomes some sort of father's rights activist or some nonsense.
Wouldn't that,
Like-
that would actually be an interesting musical if they did that.
Yeah, and then he has to like do something with the courts, but he kind of just bypasses the courts. In fact, even at the end, the courts still disagree with him. It's just that the mother sort of forgives him.
Yeah.
So it really, you can talk about that and how that's like a real issue or whatever if you want, or how you think it's not a real issue. Either way, this musical doesn't care.
No, neither does the film very much. The only reason why
No, it
they
doesn't.
care is Robin Williams delivers some very good monologues very well. I don't think any emotional beat in Mrs. Doubtfire the Musical lands in any way.
Maybe like the very, very end where like they're all a big family and like,
Okay, the happy
Okay.
beat, that kind of works.
yeah, I don't think there's really anything where it's like, can I just talk about the jokes and how bad they are? Like really quick.
Yeah, let's go. Talk about the humor.
Okay, like, so I was kind of like middling on this show, like for the first half. I was like, man, this is like kind of like, like there's some funny stuff, but it's like whatever. And then like halfway through, they do this TikTok song, where it's like it's a clock sound, and he's doing it on a looping machine.
I think it's
And-
kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, but it's like aggressively not funny. Like maybe that's just my sense of humor, but it is a grown man playing with puppets and doing a song about clocks. And it just comes off as very not funny. And then followed up with that like very soon after, or it might have been before. I
think it
can't
was right
quite remember
before.
the order. I can't remember the order, but one of the two is Mrs. Doubtfire goes up on a stage for a fashion line for some
In a
reason
bikini.
in like a bikini, and she raps, like he raps, because it's just the guy. He's not like, he doesn't really identify as Mrs. Doubtfire in a real way. So he raps about having a big tushy or something like that. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's about being a big woman. And because, fat woman in bikini, no hot, no make boner. Why do that?
Yeah, so it's Mrs. Doubtfire rapping about this, and it's also aggressively not funny, like in like an in-your-face kind of way. And it's hard to talk about bad comedy because I don't know how to explain it, like why it's not funny. All I can say is that it really isn't funny. It like is painfully not funny.
Okay. Yeah. The thing is, every musical, I have to go into it with the idea of, who is this made for? If this was made for fans of Mrs. Doubtfire, this is just a worse version of Mrs. Doubtfire. At least with Beetlejuice, it's like Beetlejuice, but much, much different. So you're getting what you liked in a different way.
Yes.
This, it's way too similar and worse. Like, it's the same movie, but done worse.
Yeah, because like everything is like dragged out. So like all the jokes have to be 3 minutes long because they all have to be a song number. And it's like Mrs. Doubtfire is like what, probably like a 90-minute movie?
It's still too long a movie. I think it's a nearly 2 hours. I think Mrs. Doubtfire is too long as a movie.
Either way,
it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. Why the fuck is Mrs. Doubtfire that long?
Well, if anything, maybe they trimmed some stuff.
Yeah, now that I think about it, maybe they did.
Which, I mean, good on them, because that is way too long. Why is Mrs. Doubtfire over 2 hours long?
I don't know. Robin Williams had too much improv.
That probably is it. It literally was like, we can't cut that. That's hilarious.
It's so funny. He did an impression of a hot dog.
I don't know. I'm being very negative, and I don't actually feel that negatively about this show.
How does this stand up next to Tootsie the Musical, the other big transphobic musical?
This is better than Tootsie, but not by a lot.
Okay. What makes this better than Tootsie?
Tootsie was more aggressive in the, like...
The deception and mean.
Yeah, it was like almost like just purely mean-spirited, where it was like, I need to get a job, and it's so much easier for women, so I'm going to be a woman and do it. And it's like, oh my God. Whereas this was like, at least this was like a genuine, like, I'm a father and I really want to see my kids and this is the only way I can do it. You know, it's like, okay, that's like sort of a reason.
Well, we've talked enough negative about this show. Why don't we compare our opinions to those of the New York theater critics when this first came out? It's time for our favorite section of the show. It's time for previews.
It's time for previews. It's time for previews.
All right, Andrew, what do we got first? Why don't you read the first one from Maya Phillips?
Maya Phillips, in their 2022 review for the New York Times, wrote that in 1993, a film about an irresponsible father dressing up as a woman to manipulate his way back into his family's life was a barrel of laughs. A Man in a Dress? Classic. He does impressions? Even better. He tries to sabotage his wife's new relationship? Comedy gold. Truly, it was a different time.
Okay, that first sentence could have just been written by you, Andrew.
Yeah, I think I've actually, before even reading this, I had said exactly this stuff to you in a Facebook chat. Yeah, actually, we didn't even talk about I thought he tries to like sabotage his wife's marriage, like not marriage, his wife's new relationship, like 5 times, and every single time it's played as if like it's like the funniest thing ever to happen.
So funny. Your ex is trying to ruin your new relationship. So great.
Wow. This is really good.
I cried at the end, Andrew.
Okay. Rob McClure steps into Mrs. Doubtfire's sensible shoes in this production. He's vivacious on the stage. I can't pronounce these words sometimes. And his impressions, including a hilarious tongue-wagging Gollum, are precious. Was that
really that funny?
Is that sarcasm? I feel like it
wasn't funny. I saw the clip. It wasn't funny.
But the director, Jerry Zach's ambivalent production tries to have it both ways. The story of a playful man-child with whom we empathize, but whose good intentions can't excuse his machinations. The film pulled it off at the time, primarily thanks to Williams' charms. McClure's Daniel, though, is more irritating than entertaining, with his antics, which include hacking into his wife's email account to sabotage her nanny search.
Let's pause there. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because that is a much more vicious attack. In the movie, he just changes one number on the sheet she's about to submit. And yeah, it's an invasion of privacy in a lot of ways in the musical. Yeah, it's more updated, but it's gross. It's gross.
Yeah, they try to play it as like he just knows her passwords. Like, she hasn't changed. Like, okay, but that you still
That's a breach of trust and emotional contact.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. But would Williams have fared much better in 2021 when the toxicity of this male character's actions would raise alarms? That strain is everywhere in this production, whose 18-month pandemic hiatus coincided with renewed conversations about race, gender, and equity. Yeah, I just don't think the story works now, and I think that's what they're saying here. Like, and it kind of just doesn't. Like, I don't know. We'll keep going. Maybe we'll talk about it at the end of this. Lines from the movie about Mrs. Doubtfire having a penis have been excised.
Thank God.
And yeah, because that would have been hilarious. The height of comedy. And in a surface-level attempt to make Daniel's long-suffering wife, Miranda, a more feminist and sympathetic figure, the show's creators have made her the owner of a body-positive activewear line called M-Body. The pseudo-feminist song that she sings during a fashion show, Shape of Things to Come, is a painfully punny inspirational poster masquerading as a piece of music. That is the song I was talking about.
Yes.
Where Mrs. Doubtfire comes on, and honestly, even if the message was working, having a man in a fat suit in a bikini come on and sing and rap is probably not gonna help your message.
Yeah, and just I don't know. I find that offensive in like 90 different ways. We are gonna hear from a trans reviewer after this, just to get like a trans opinion on Mrs. Doubtfire as well.
I would like to hear that because I am interested in what their thought would be.
A trans reading on this is much more interesting than this. But continue with the New York Times.
While the Mrs. Doubtfire movie may now be understandably considered transphobic, it is funny and likable, and most importantly, confident in what it is. Its musical counterpart feels unsure of what notes to hit, what jokes to rewrite, and what updates to add to be relevant. The production wants the audience to both like and be skeptical of its straight male protagonist, and it includes gay characters but doesn't fully embrace them. Yes, I do remember that as well.
That was in the movie as well.
Yeah. A man in drag. Come on, it's 2021. That's just another night in the city. Having the gay characters sing a song that includes lyrics about Margaret Thatcher, like over and over and over again.
About how ugly Margaret Thatcher is and like a bunch of other older women.
Yeah, a little weird.
It is one of the more interesting song numbers, I will say. Visually, at least they brought something. It's not like the chef number where Mrs. Doubtfire is trying to learn chef from Siri and then suddenly a bunch of chefs come out and make dinner with her.
Yeah, aggressively unfunny, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Also, haha, man cannot cook.
Man incompetent, no known to cook. Mr. Mom, 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Okay, maybe we should just stop making...
You know what? 90s movies don't need to be musicals.
Also, comedies just don't age well, just like in general. Just because the things that we joke about get updated every like year.
What genre do you think ages the best? Because I have an answer in my head. I want to see what your thoughts are.
Honestly, that's a tough question. I don't really know.
I think horror ages the best. I think horror films genuinely stand up the test in time compared to most other types of films. Like dramas, they age like milk. Same with comedies. But horror films, we're still talking about Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all the same films from the same times. Scream is still more relevant today than ever.
It's almost because like the themes are interchangeable in a way. Like you can just whatever was supposed to be scary about Halloween, we can just put a modern viewing onto it whenever we want. Like it's very easy to do so. Because like I don't know, even like very old stuff, like stuff that you would think would be really problematic, you can just be like, well, no, it doesn't mean that to me. I don't know. Whereas
like
comedies are explicit.
All right, let's think about this. Let's take a movie that's considered transphobic, like Tootsie, which is rightfully considered transphobic, and a horror film that's considered transphobic, like Psycho.
Yes.
Which is aged better?
I mean, Psycho's still aged better.
Yeah, why is that? I am still wondering that myself, to be honest.
I don't even know. I mean, it's probably just because the tone of it is so different. With Tootsie, where you're supposed to be laughing,
it's a hoof.
It's a little different. When you're not asked to laugh at it, you're asked to like think about it. It's a little different, and you can come to your own conclusions in horror as well. Like, sure, maybe Psycho is trying to tell you like this is really scary that he's like this or whatever. but like maybe you don't have to think that way. I don't know.
Or even something like Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs. I think that still ages better because it isn't pointing a finger the way that Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire is.
Now, I would still argue that these are bad and we shouldn't be doing them again. But
no, but I still think that Jonathan Demme has more empathy for someone like Buffalo Bill than Chris Columbus does for actual trans people, despite directing the Rent movie and Mrs. Doubtfire. Like, literally, he directs Mrs. Doubtfire, then 12 years later directs Rent. I don't know why that's so brainwashingly stupid to me, but it is.
Well, let's read this.
Yeah, I'll read this next one.
Next one.
So, this is from Christian Lewis, and they are a trans writer. They said this of Mrs. Doubtfire in December of 2021. While both Jagged Little Pill and company struggle in their own ways to explore both gender and sexuality in nuanced ways, the bigger problem of the season is Mrs. Doubtfire, another nostalgic adaptation of a man in a dress film comedy. In theory, Mrs. Doubtfire had the time and chance to learn from Tootsie's mistakes. The writers even had the entire pandemic to rethink, adjust, do some research, and perhaps begin to actually listen to the trans people critiquing it. They did not. For a supposedly family-friendly show about love, it spread some dangerously transphobic messages. I found the experience of watching Mrs. Doubtfire difficult and upsetting, not least because the audience around me seemed to love it, uncritically cheering and clapping as the musical replicated each famous moment from the film, the pie in the face, the vacuuming dance, the scorched fake breasts. Perhaps most painful was the fact that the audience was enthusiastically laughing at each and every man in a dress joke. While critics seem to have learned a bit since Tootsie, several mentioned transphobia and or gender issues in their reviews of Mrs. Doubtfire, it appears that the writers, Casey Kirkpatrick and Wayne Kirkpatrick and John O'Farrell, are happily to pander to the same transphobic attitudes as Tootsie did. Sitting in the audience, it felt as if nothing had changed. It might as well have been called Tootsie 2. Transphobia Reloaded. While watching Mrs. Doubtfire, I had a simple idea. If it is possible to be about a father who is an actor and wears a disguise to be with his kids, why does it have to be Mrs. Doubtfire? Why can't he be an elderly male Scottish nanny? It would not change the plot at all. It would just remove the transphobic man in a dress joke at the center of the whole enterprise. Ironically, a lot of the marketing for the show simply uses the title Doubtfire, as if the PR team is trying to stay away from the gendered part of the title that goes with it. So,
well, they couldn't have it be a Mr. Doubtfire, as they're suggesting here, because you would lose a lot of the jokes.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
Where if you don't have the man in a dress jokes and you still have no emotional connection to the story, why do it at all? I agree with Christian. They're right.
Yeah.
But who cares what these professional critics think? It's time to look at the insane people on Letterboxd. Bree, you've curated a list of Letterboxd reviews for us to talk about from the Mrs. Doubtfire movie, and it's me and Andrew in Letterboxd reviewed.
Yes, it is time to hear what the real critics think.
Okay. All right, who's going first today?
You choose. You run this shit.
Andrew, you lost, so I guess you can go first.
Sure.
You lost the last one, right? No, you guys tied.
It was a tie, but we'll say I lost.
But you lost. Okay. Material Girl.
The insecurity in that.
Goyle. Material Goyle.
Material Goyle. Okay, that's the entire. That's the review.
Yep.
That's the review. Okay. It's 5 stars. 5 stars.
That is a 5-star.
I nailed it. I knew it. I had a feeling from it, you know?
Yeah, no, totally.
Is it mine turn?
It's your turn. Okay.
Material Goyle.
Material Goyle. Okay. So She's the Man is the yassified version of this.
Ooh. I'm gonna give it 5 stars.
That's a 5.
Now, Jess, are they right or wrong though?
I have not seen She's the Man, except for knowing that Amanda Bynes flashes her top at a football game or something, like flashes her tits at a football game to prove that she's a woman. And that movie probably has not aged well.
I don't know. That sounds like it aged really well, Jess.
But it's based on another film of a different name, like some Boys in the Club or some shit. Either way, I'm winning.
Now you both have won.
All right, let's go.
My heart.
Okay, Andrew. Miss Doubtfire, blank. Me. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Mommy? Sorry.
Is that Billie Eilish there?
Wait, was that all part of it? I'm a little confused.
Yeah, so
Do you not know the meme, Andrew?
So Miss Doubtfire did nothing.
Oh, okay, so it's this format. Okay.
Miss Doubtfire, nothing. Me. Mommy? Sorry.
Sorry.
Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry.
5 stars.
Absolutely. Yes.
Ooh, all right, what do we got next?
As if.
Deep. Makes you think, makes you wonder.
I'm going to give it a 1 star.
That's a 5-star.
Shit!
As if, Jess.
As if.
You know what? Now I'm on the other side. This kind of sucks.
Okay. Andrew, what did Marriage Story give us that this movie didn't?
Adam Driver punching a wall.
Yeah. 5 stars.
That's correct.
Hey, Andrew's beating me.
He's on fire.
Boom.
He's had more training than me, so really this isn't fair.
You might be right about that. It's like beating up a child.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna let that go.
Okay. Parents show this to their kid after getting a divorce. It's me. I'm that kid.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you think? I'm gonna give it a 5 star.
That's 5.
Hey, I'm back on the board. See, the problem with you guys who do these letterbox, you think too much.
All right.
No brain.
Andrew gave me terrible secondhand embarrassment.
1 star.
That was a 5-star. I don't know why though.
They like to cringe. It's cringe culture.
Okay.
I feel like I can say the same thing about the
I'm ready.
that it gave you secondhand embarrassment. Starting the year off strong.
That could be sarcasm. I'm gonna give it 1.
That was a 1. Now you guys are tied. Okay.
I'm gonna pour myself another glass of wine for that one.
Okay. Andrew, if my ex knocked on the door in a wig doing voices, I would probably call 911.
And you should.
Here I go, making myself laugh again.
No, but you see, Daniel, his voices are just so good. You know? She's 1 star.
Yeah, that was right. Okay, just the white version of Big Mama's house.
Bruh.
That's a 5 star.
That is a 5-star. It's pretty funny.
Why is that so true though?
Well, Big Mama's house, at least he was pretending to be a person that existed. Like that's
true.
Like Big Mama was an actual character that existed in the world, and then Martin Lawrence is pretending to be Big Mama. Mrs. Doubtfire doesn't really exist.
Yeah, so it's more like Jack and Jill, where like Jill is like a real person. It's not just Adam Sandler.
No. So Big Mama is a character in Big Mama's house. Then she leaves. Then Martin Lawrence, the character played by Martin Lawrence, dresses up as the character Big Mama to pretend to be her. So it is still the character Martin Lawrence is playing in drag.
Okay, so it's still Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
It's just that Mrs. Doubtfire is actually real.
Yes. It would be like if Mrs. Doubtfire was a real nanny, then Daniel just beat the shit out of her and then dressed up as her.
Which honestly, if you went that route, I think that would be like a laugh a minute.
That would honestly have a little bit of a funnier twinge to it.
It's like, he just finds this nanny and like kills her and like dresses up as her.
Oh no. All right.
Okay. Let's see. Who's up?
It's Andrew's
I'm
turn.
up.
I was the Big
Okay.
Mama's house person.
Okay, yeah. The dude, in fact, does look like a lady.
Intentionally so. 5 stars?
That's a 1-star.
Not an Aerosmith.
Are we
fan.
tied now?
Yeah, I think so. All right. She makes dinner. She does windows. She reads bedtime stories. She's a freaky man.
Ew. Was that like a tagline for the movie?
I have no idea.
That's a 1-star. It has to be.
That is a 1-star. And now you're leading.
Hey, fuck you, Andrew!
God dang.
All right. Let's see. All right. Oh boy, I can't wait to get home from school and watch the Dick Van Dyke Show. Normal teenagers in 1993. Said normal teenagers in 1993.
5 stars.
That's a 1-star.
You know what show they're watching on the TV in the movie, and you still give it a freaking 1 star?
I will say, I do remember this part of the movie, and it does stick out to me because, like, all 3 of the kids are sitting at home watching Dick Van Dyke. Mrs. Doubtfire comes in and is like, "Oh, turn that off. No more TV." Like, we always watch Dick Van Dyke right when we get home. Like, they make a thing out of it. I remember that specifically enough to be like, yeah, that was a little weird.
I mean, they also do all start watching that, like, public access TV show that Mrs. Doubtfire starts making.
Even if my best friend, like someone I love dearly, started a public access TV show where they were the lead, I 100% would never watch it.
Yo, it's public access. I'm not watching this shit.
Like, even if it was the best show ever, like it was certified fresh and Rotten Tomatoes, I would still like put it off. Like, yeah, fuck that guy.
All right, are you ready, Jess? The lying in this movie stressed me out as a child, and it stands true today.
Oof. So Andrew had a similar one with the secondhand embarrassment, and that was a 1-star. I'm gonna give this one a 5-star.
That's a 5-star.
Yeah, I just gotta throw it out there. This is not fair at all.
All right, there's only a couple more here.
All right.
Andrew, this movie is about a liar.
It's upsetting. I mean, I don't like that either. 1 star?
That's a 1
Don't like
star.
liars. Don't like liars.
All right, Brie, what we got next?
Mara Wilson really was everywhere in the 90s, huh?
She was. Fun fact, I've invited Mara Wilson onto our podcast and got 2 different rejection letters.
Oof.
2 rejection letters for 1 email?
No, I like wrote it once, then waited a year, then wrote again. 2 different rejections.
Ouch.
Same with Rachel Bloom. I should probably like write another one for Rachel Bloom, see if she says no again. But I'm gonna give that one a 1-star because people didn't tend to like her.
That was a 5-star.
Ah, shit! I thought I was better than the nostalgia critic for a second.
All right.
Nostalgia critic.
Ready, Andrew?
Sure.
Andrew looks so done with today.
Yeah. They really just let him go.
I mean, yeah, it's over 2 hours long. Like they didn't cut anything. Like, my God.
Fun fact, there's a 4-hour R-rated cut of Mrs. Doubtfire, and people are on Twitter like, at least the R-rated version.
Yeah, I heard there was a big cut scene too.
Yeah, there's a big scene. Actually, I think they should have kept it in. It was like an emotional scene where the kids are like, I hate you. I hate my parents. You guys are just fighting and ruining our lives, which, yeah, fair. But Andrew.
Andrew, was that a...
They didn't cut anything. Yeah, I mean...
Wait. Read the review again, Brie.
They really just let him go.
I know, they really just let him go. Like, they didn't cut anything. I would give it a 1, but... Okay. Well, let's say 5 stars. We're going to say 5 stars.
No, Andrew, I don't want you to do this. Don't do this. I think you're interpreting what he's saying wrong. I think they're saying they let him off the hook.
Yeah.
Literally dressing as Mrs. Doubtfire. Because that's how I'm interpreting it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're interpreting it the way I'm hearing it.
Oh, I was interpreting it like they just let him do whatever he wanted, like on the set, like ad-lib everything. Okay, if it's they let him off the hook for doing bad stuff, yeah, I guess that's 1 star.
That's how my brain is.
Yeah, that was a 1
it.
star. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Give
5,
him that
6.
point.
I
don't think he heard it right.
Well, then we also started talking about how they cut things and yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, that wasn't his fault. He's a gentle babe. We have to adjust the rules for him.
Little boy, baby boy.
Okay. I don't know what I expected. This is for you, Jess.
That sounds like a 1 star.
That is a 1 star. You win the game. Woohoo!
That was my
I
review.
did it! Eat my ass, Andrew!
Okay, Andrew, you can tie up the game right now. We'll give you one more chance.
Okay.
This is the last one. Get it, Granny.
5 stars.
That's a tie game.
Yeah,
We've gone
Andrew,
through-
we tied. We are equals in everything forever. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the show, but we've got a shill at you. Bree, tell us a little bit about Patreon and what's on Patreon.
All right, guys. Patreon is where you can go and get exclusive content from Andrew and Jess, and they got a bunch of commentaries on there. They got like basically another podcast over there. Like, they're doing cool stuff over there, so you should check it out. And sometimes I'll pop in.
Nice.
They call her Mary Poppins because she's always popping in.
Our current patrons are Melissa Goldman, John Donna, Danielle Renix, Jess Stampede, Ewan Cassidy, Tess Gear, Monica Thoreau, Mina Maneri, Brent Black, Nathaniel Stacey Toon, Joseph Evans Green, Carrie Ahern, Mary Lou Choquette, John Vanals, Russ Walker, Musical Hell, Emily Gracie, Kyle Summers, Janae C, Scoot in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Liz Lim, Allison Stoller, Nothing is Certain Except Beth and Taxes, Thesbian, Ren Cullen, Rafael Martinez Salaz, Robert Benjamin, Jessica T, Mitchell Young, Chai Teacup, Katie McDonough, Timothy Keys, Chris Marquette, Mimu, Kiji Maria Anastasio, Leela, RJ Noriga, Sebastian Canino, Charlie B, Patrick Deering, Joe, Avery Brinson, Marilyn Brown, Mel Cormack, La Femme Fictionale, Bjorn Hermans, Mac the Knife, Erica S, Toriana Frazier, Sammy the Most Lopez, Leanna Morton, Angela, Kaylee Blazer, Birdman69, and
Nice.
Daniel Smith.
These folks give us a little financial support that helps us keep the lights on here at Musicals with Cheese. If you would like to join them in supporting us and get tons of fun perks such as Patreon-only commentaries, our episodes a few days early. Now they're posting on Monday with the video episodes. Come check us all out over at Patreon. How about we get back to the show? So, legally, we can only talk about 2 songs from this musical because they have yet to release an official Broadway cast album, but that has never stopped us before. So let's talk about the children's song, What the Hell?
Can't you see what's happening here? Mom has made Dad disappear and found someone that she thinks can replace him. And like it or not, we're gonna share the house with a creepy old lady in a hideous blouse who's gonna move in and slowly she'll erase him.
Do you even remember this number, Andrew?
No. I actually don't. I just straight up don't remember this one. How does it go?
You don't remember the song at all.
No, I really don't.
So God damn.
I remember the oh my goodness. I'm looking at the song list and that we have, and I remember the songs before it, and I remember the songs after it, and this song I literally don't remember.
So this is the song about the kids and how they are allowed to swear because the adults are acting like children. So they're like, all right, we're all going to say what the hell about this situation. Now, I've got a small issue with this song. I've
Okay, what
listened
is
to
it?
this song about 6 or 7 times today.
There's your
because-
first mistake.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted to be like, all right, what do I have to say about the songs I can talk about? I don't like some of the rhymes. I guess we probably should have talked more about like Something Rotten, which we covered 1,000 years ago. Do you remember anything about that show?
I just remember that it was actually somewhat funny. There was some pretty good jokes in it.
Yeah, it wasn't from the book writers. I mean, the same book writer did not come to this. It is the songwriters.
I remember the songs were pretty generic, like very, very much like just kind of okay.
Yeah, and I think the same's here too. But let me read you some songs and maybe you can understand why I don't like the rhymes. So, well, this was not supposed to happen, and this is just a bunch of crap, and no one asked if I would go along. And all at once the adults have spoken. Now I'm a kid in a home that's broken because they can't fix all that they did wrong. So this is my life. Isn't this just great? Isn't this just swell? What the hell? So let's talk about Let This Happen and Crap and happened.
I mean, it's like a near rhyme.
You could justify it being an internal rhyme, but they make the poor child actors, who I want to say, all the child actors in this show are doing a great job. 10 out of 10, no faults in them. You are doing the best you can with this material.
Yes.
The wife character, on the other hand, not so great. You turned a pretty nuanced character into a shrew, and I think you did a particularly bad job in this role. Sorry.
Ooh,
But the kids,
insulting.
I'm sorry. I think she's very bad in this role.
Okay.
It's hard to step into Sally Field's shoes, just as hard as it is to step into Robin Williams' shoes. But they make her say crappin', so it sounds like she's talking about taking a dump.
Yes.
Just to make their rhyme work, and it just rings to my ear awkward. Bree, play a clip of it right now.
Well, this was not supposed to happen. This is just a bunch of crap, and no one asked if I would go along.
Boy, isn't
Well-
that sound weird?
Maybe they were just talking about taking a dump.
I wish they were. At least that might get a laugh out of me in this musical.
Well, what other songs are we allowed to talk about? Why would they pick this song to be one of the two they release?
Because they have cute kids that you can send to like Broadway Con to perform it.
Not into that. All right.
However, at Good Morning America, Rob McClure did perform your favorite song about the clocks.
Did they just pick the worst songs to put out?
That is slightly impressive. I know you don't like this song, but I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, it's just a looping machine. I've seen people do that at local music shows.
I saw Cyril Amay, who performs like very intense Sondheim songs, and she did an entire a cappella Sondheim song with a loop machine as her backing track. It was the most impressive shit that I've ever seen anyone do live. So it is pretty impressive to watch someone come up with a looping machine and make it sound like anything worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think what I have a problem with is the
puppets, the voices.
the puppets and the voices. Like, it's all particularly not funny. So, what was the name of this song?
About Time.
Oh, so I was right. This is before the fashion show.
Yeah, it's well before it.
You said it was after.
Did I? Okay, sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so this is it's fine. I think it's an interesting thing. I mean, the looping machine is kind of cool. The way they introduce the looping machine makes it very obvious that they're about to do a thing with it, but, whatever.
I like it. I think Rob McClure is a very good actor. I just wish, I don't know, it's less cringe than what Robin Williams did in the movie, which is just rapping about dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, I've not said that I was a fan of the movie either.
No, I'm not saying you did. Just as far as if a musical is making a change that I think is better, I do want to point it out.
Okay, yeah.
Then the only
those
song
two?
that they've officially released as like a proper recorded one, where the other ones were just kind of live performances, officially released though, is the final number, As Long as There's Love, which is probably the most effective song in the show.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, the goodness will surely follow you, as long as there is love. Whatever you dream, whatever you choose, whatever the end, how can you lose, as long as there is love.
Yes.
I like
Even
the
if
song
it
a
is
lot.
just kind of a generic, like, man, isn't it good to love everybody? Sweet.
I mean, it is
at the
pretty
same
great to love
time,
everyone.
I like seeing it. It's nice that he like is getting along with his ex and even her new boyfriend in a way. Like,
Do you get along with any of your exes, Andrew?
not at all.
Really?
No.
Bree, what about you?
No.
That's a
She said
no.
What about you, Jess?
I get along with most of my exes. Like,
Do you really?
2 of them worked on my last film. We're good buddies. I just feel like it's not that hard to keep in good contact with your ex, but this seems like a fucking insurmountable mountain. I don't know. Haven't been in a breakup for about 11 years, though, so maybe I'm just out of touch. What do you think, Andrew?
I think that after a messy divorce like that, it's kind of a miracle that he's able to get along with her.
I mean, you're both... I hate to say this, and feel free to cut this out. You both kind of went through your own divorces, right? You didn't go through a divorce, Andrew?
I've never been married.
Not you, but like your parents.
Oh, I've been through several.
Oh, yeah, my parents got divorced.
Like,
They live
I
in
think-
different states now.
I think a lot of the effectiveness of both the movie and the musical is how the kids kind of blame themselves for the divorce, whether or not it makes sense or not.
No, that's like a totally valid thing. I was just talking to my therapist about this yesterday.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to bring up anything.
Oh my God, no, it's no problem. No, but yes, children do have a tendency to take on like this idea that divorce is their fault, or that they have to like be like a peacekeeper or do something for their parents.
So I think it is the mature thing for parents to try to work it out and make it an effective relationship between the two of them.
By dressing up as a Scottish nanny.
Yes! That is the only way to make divorces work. Remember when your father did that, Andrew?
Oh, fond memories. Fond memories. He was Irish, actually, though.
Oh, there always have to be Lucky Charms.
Jeez, Jess, you don't have to bring the racism into it.
I'm sorry, what is my last name again?
I don't know. It's certainly not Irish, though.
McAnally?
MC Anally? That's more like a DJ, isn't it?
You've been making that joke for over a decade now. On that note, what is everyone's overall thoughts on Mrs. Doubtfire the Musical and her cheese rating? Andrew, why don't you start?
Oh boy. I didn't like it. Really at all. I think that there was certain aspects of it that I was like, well, this is fine, and like they're trying. But like, yeah, I mean, the man in a dress jokes just don't land. They are just not funny. And like, I'll be real, like some of it was like cringe, like aggressively unfunny, like secondhand embarrassment, you know? Like giving me some serious secondhand embarrassment. That being said, I'll give it a cheese rating. Here's a good one. We're gonna give it Butterways cheese, which is a Scottish cheese.
That's fair.
We'll give it that. And I think that's the last I want to talk about this ever.
Really? Tell us more. Brie, what is your overall thoughts on our discussion and your cheese rating?
Your discussion? Fantastic. Very fun to listen to. But I will be in New York in a couple months, and I will definitely not go see this.
Can I come with you?
Yeah, it's a bachelorette party if you're...
Oh, hell yeah. I get dressed in drag as a Scottish nanny.
I'm just here to clean the room.
No. So yeah, I definitely don't want to go see Doubtfire. It is... doesn't work. I don't think it probably worked in the 90s. Doesn't work now. So I'm going to give it like an expired cheese, like maybe some expired Swiss.
That's just a great cheese rating. 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
Got some black mold on it.
Yeah. My cheese rating is flaming Greek cheese because, you know, this shit's on fire. It's so much that you might even doubt it. It might be even a Doubtfire.
Haha. What did you think of the show, though?
The show's bad. I don't like it. The movie is better, and it hasn't aged well to begin with. Rob McClure, very good actor. We should give him a good role one of these days.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Doubtfire is just a show that it's just a story that we need to just forget.
That Tootsie, there has to be one more. The rule of threes. There's one more, like, guy dresses in drag to fool someone musical.
I'm honestly sure there's a lot of them, and I think they just need to go away.
So today on Twitter, I actually put a tweet out, and it's gaining some traction that I did not expect because it was just a question.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I did not expect traction. Like, throughout this, we've had like 30,000. Oh, God, that's a lot of replies. But I put this tweet out. Is Kinky Boots the only Broadway musical about a man dressing in drag within the last 15 years that isn't trying to deceive someone? And basically everyone is agreeing with me like, oh, shit, you're right. Yeah, and I don't know why that is. Why are men dressing in drag to try to fool people? Can't they just do it for fun?
Because I almost feel like it's because there's like a humiliation aspect to it.
Is there, though?
Well, it's like this guy's in his lowest possible point, and then he's forced to dress in drag to get any sort of respect or whatever back. And then in Tootsie, it's like this guy can't get any work, so he has to dress in drag to get work. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like part of the humor is maybe we're supposed to be laughing at these people.
I don't know. It's nothing funny to me about a man in a dress.
Well, yeah, there shouldn't be. It's just I think that the people writing these jokes think that there is.
Maybe we should just stop letting boomers write musicals.
Maybe we should just stop letting boomers.
Maybe we should stop letting musicals.
All right, guys. Musicals are done.
Yeah, we're done. We're just stopped.
We'll be back next week with cheese.
Yeah, just cheese. Welcome to With Cheese, a podcast where I try to get Jess and Andrew to like cheese.
Jess and Andrew.
I don't know. We're talking about Doubtfire the Musical. I don't know what's going on anymore, Bree.
You don't even know who I am.
I know you're wonderful. And you know who else is wonderful?
Tell me.
Our wonderful patrons. Thank you guys for listening. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher at Musicals with Cheese. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals, Patreon Musicals with Cheese, Instagram Musicals with Cheese, YouTube page Musicals with Cheese. We have a patron-only podcast called Patreon with Cheese. It's a lot of fun over there. We have a ton of commentaries over there on Patreon, and a lot more coming, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Email us at musicaltheaterlives@gmail.com. Our title card is created by the amazing Jolene Casco. Go send them some love on Instagram at Jolene Casco. Our keeper of the cheese is Juliet Antonio. Thank you for keeping me up with our cheese ratings, because God knows I wasn't going to do it. This show is produced by the wonderful, the incredible, one of my favorite people in the entire world, Brianna Jones. I love you, Bree. Our theme songs were created by Robin Nash of IOU Music UK. Thank you to the Broadway Podcast Network for having us on the platform and for not kicking us off for talking so much shit about Doubtfire the Musical, which no doubt will be the most incredible musical when it comes back in April. Because, hold on, I didn't even get to talk about that. They took a 9-week hiatus because they got bad reviews, and when they come back, they're hoping people will forget they got bad reviews. And I think that's the funniest shit on the planet. They took a hiatus. They're like, all right, we're done. We'll come back in March. And then they're like, we'll come back in April.
Maybe someday they'll forget how bad the show is, and then they'll
Maybe we can figure out how to make the show work in that time, but probably not, you know?
Well, we can't change anything, so maybe it will just be better.
Maybe people will stop being so uptight and laugh at the man in a dress. On that note, we'll see you next time on Musicals with Cheese. I don't know any songs from Mrs. Doubtfire, so I'm just gonna sing "Dude Looks Like a Lady." Nah, dude looks like a lady. Dude looks like a lady.
I think the only song I can actually remember, like how it goes, is the flamenco song that they do.
Well, how does
like,
that one
he
go?
lied to me, or something like that.
Oh yeah, that song was fun.
Yeah, that was like maybe the best song in the whole thing, but it was like not even plot like relevant necessarily. It was just kind of like, it was just kind of funny. It's like, oh haha, they're singing about lies and like he lied, haha.
Bree, keep all this in.
Also, geez, did you see what's happening in Texas right now? Feels like a little bit relevant to this, what we're talking about here. He's like making it so any parent that has a trans child could get prosecuted for child abuse. Just a reminder that like maybe this is bad stuff that we shouldn't have in our culture, fellas. It's not just like oh, we're uptight and don't like stuff. It's like hey, maybe this is just bad. Maybe we just shouldn't have stuff like Tootsie and Mrs. Doubtfire just kind of chilling out on Broadway. Especially when Broadway is supposed to be kind of a haven for like progressivism and things a lot of times, so